Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Bible study time. Yay! All right, super excited about coming forward with a thought-provoking Bible study for you all today. But as usual, y'all, if you find any of my content relevant, if you find it necessary, please subscribe, please click like, and please share. If you have the means to support this channel, I truly ask that you look into all of the work that I put forward, from all of the videos to the shorts, and then even skip over to some of the links that are in the information tab of my YouTube page, like michellemayer.com, where I have a very expansive amount of literary content supporting my spiritual endeavors and just life ponderings in general. And also on my Instagram page, there's a tremendous amount of literary content there as well, in the form of short memes and short stories. So this is a creation that I have begun on my own. This is an endeavor that God has put in my heart to do, and I'm just following God. This is not me. This is a greater aspect of me, and it is the God within me that is leading me forward in delivering upon these thought-provoking perspectives and this content that I've been telling all of my life. All roads lead me here. So I am truly the best I've ever been now, and I'm just looking to expound upon all of the knowledge I have to help somebody else, okay? And in doing so, if you supporting this channel, you will be supporting the help and betterment of someone else based upon the information that I throw out and I offer up. So it's a win-win for everyone. Nonetheless, the donation links are located in the information tab of my YouTube page as well. All the links are either on my Facebook content page or my YouTube page. So you'll find all of these links on either of my social platforms. Today we will have a thought-provoking Bible study on Abraham. I'm going to be backtracking to Genesis today. I am currently in Jeremiah, and I was wrestling with, do I want to really speak to Jeremiah today? Because Jeremiah, the children are transgressing. I mean, it's the same old with these children at this point. And I don't want to, my Bible studies are in real time. So as I read, I deliver the Bible studies. The only time that I backtrack and reflect upon something that I've already transitioned from is when I'm in a book currently that I don't feel I may have expounded upon a topic that supports it in the last Bible study, so it seems redundant. Or I don't really feel that it's the vibe that I like to just throw out there. So I'll reflect backwards until I get out of the book, or until I get to someplace else within the book moving forward that I feel is necessary to speak to, okay? But all of these ponderings, even though I've read my Bible before, this is a new time for me reading it, and I'm ingesting it differently, and I'm taking you guys on my journey. So all of these perspectives I've been pondering in all of my walks and all of my readings throughout my life, and it's just now that they are starting to manifest themselves in their own unique way. And it is truly a testament to God. It truly is. When you look at me, you must see God. You don't see me. You see God. Even the colors and the clothing and the hair and all of this kind of stuff, great. I want it to look nice for you, but even when you see that, you must see God. You must know that nothing that I have ever acquired, nothing that I've ever gone through, nothing that has ever blessed my life, nothing that has ever subtracted from me has been anything outside of God. Nothing. And if it were, I would tell you. I would tell you the struggles that I have. That's what I'm offering up in this channel, is honesty, integrity, and humility. So there's no smoke and mirrors here. There's no piety. There is no, well, I don't know why I said piety, but there is no superficial highness. That's not me. I'm just a regular girl out here looking to do the best I can, and God led me to delivering on the content, and that's what I'm coming out doing, and I'm going to do it every week and every day, because that's what I promised that I would do. And I'm an honor of my word. My word is my bond, truly. So there you have it. So today we will speak to Abraham today, y'all. We're going to be speaking to Abraham because Abraham has been on my spirit all week. I don't know why. Abraham and Sodom and Gomorrah has been on my spirit All week I've been tilling this as I've been cooking, peeling potatoes, making lotions, all kinds of stuff. I just been tilling these perspectives. And so I believe that it's something that I should speak to because that's how spirit moves through me. I just get these ideas and I just roll with them. So, and because I know that it'll bless someone's life, I allow it access into my mind and I till it. And we'll see what's birthed of it today. So let's begin with just the invocation of God, who's already here, but we'll just verbally acknowledge God and ask God to assist me in the discernment of His Word. Heavenly Father, I come before you in love, looking for you. I ask that you work through me in the conveyance of your word to the children today. Lessen me and magnify you. Speak through me your truth in honesty and simplicity so that the children can understand it in the most simplest, in the most relevant, in the most realistic terms that they can take and utilize and eat off of until the next time we come together and I offer something else. I love you so deeply and I thank you. Cover this space, protect this space as only you can. Send your angels round about all of us to protect us on all of our many journeys. We love you so deeply and that's why we come together in search of you, to hear a good word of you, a reminder of the promise. In God's name I pray. I love you so deeply. Amen. All right. Okay, so we're going to be reading today out of Genesis chapter 15. We're going to read from verse 5 through 16, okay? So let's get to it. Verse 5. And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now toward heaven and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be. And he believed in the Lord, and he counted to him for righteousness. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldees to give thee this land to inherit it. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, Take me a heifer of 3 years old, 3, and a she-goat of 3 years old, 3, and a ram of 3 years old, 3, and a turtle dove and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But in the 4th generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. Hallelujah. All right, y'all. So, like I said, this has been on my spirit all week. Not this particular verse, but this and some other verses. But as I was moving through the book today, this just caught my attention. I said, this is it. I had posted some notes up upon these pages that caught my attention, and then it just fell upon me. And so here we are. So Abram is a unique individual. Abram, before he was named Abraham, is a unique individual. He is of the Chaldees. He's of the the area what we would consider Mesopotamia, Iraq, the Sumerians. He's of Sumer. And I want to do a video on my podcast. I will do a video on Sumer and Mesopotamia because it is a very profound environment. That is the cradle, really, of civilization from antiquity. A lot of information, a lot of power comes from that space. But just for the sake of this Bible study, um, Abram had a very interesting life. I mean, you talk about somebody walking on faith. In the beginning, when you look at the apocryphic text, and it speaks to the testament of Abram, and even in the book of Jasher, and in the various books of the apocrypha, it speaks to Abram, and it speaks to his walk before he became Abraham, and all of his struggles, and all of his yearnings for knowledge, looking at what is going on around him and seeing all of the many gods that the people are worshiping. And he's wondering, where is the God that created the world in regards to all of this? He sought God. He literally sought God early. He was looking around for the truth. And one thing about it, friend, when you look for the truth, you will find it. If you continue to look diligently, if you really want to know, it will show itself. It's no other way. It will show you its truth. And God presented himself to Abram. Yet even though God presented himself to Abram, Abram went through insurmountable challenges. Many of us believe that when you have a calling upon your life and you are called to do a thing, that exempts you from life's challenges. You're somehow walking on water around here. You're somehow jet skiing on the air. You don't have any troubles. You don't have any hills and valleys that you climb. Everything's a breeze. That is not true. When there's a significant calling upon your life, it is the most chaotic. It is the most frightening, troubling, tormenting thing that will ever come upon you. People will come upon you. Situations will come upon you. Internal struggles will make themselves manifest. Because you begin to realize things. You begin to see things. You begin to know. And one thing about knowing is that you can't unknow. Knowing is the biggest accountability partner of this life. Knowing denies the ability for one to say, I don't know. Once you know, you know. It's a science to know. It truly is. Yet, when you know certain things, and you graduate to certain things through experiences and through seeking and then knowing, what you graduate to, sometimes you don't want to know. Because you can't unknow it, and you have to adhere to that level of expectation that comes with it. And if you don't, you're out of alignment to it. So, and then being out of alignment to it opens you up to all of the lesser energies that we all avoid in life. Fear, confusion, harm, lack, all these different things. This is the science that I'm speaking to. Yet Abram, as he ascended through experiences, like when he went and he knocked down his father's altar, his father Terah, his altars. Who would have done such a thing? That's not written in the Bible. It's written in the Apocrypha. It's written in the book of Jasher, I believe, or in the Testament of Abraham. But he knocks down his dad's altars because God told him to. He went looking for God and said, is God in this? Nope, God's not in that. Is God in this? Nope, God's not in that. Is God in... And he's searching around for God, and then he gets a word. He gets an idea, perspective, a thought. And the thought says, you need to go knock down these altars because your father is making a grave mistake by bowing to these strange gods that are beneath him. And you can break the generational lineage of this happening. Don't knock them altars down. And he did it. And then when he did that, that opened him up to experiences. That opened him up to other experiences. That opened him up to other experiences. He had been put in Nimrod's furnace. I mean, it goes on, and Abraham went through a lot. He slew the four kings, because of Lot. His nephew, who they held hostage because Abram was an important man. See, the Bible does not tell you all the details, friend. The Bible tells you high-level stuff until it really wants you to focus in on something. Then it'll tell you a detail. But for Chemaldazar, I can't even say these names, y'all. You know, Chedorlaomer, and the other three or four kings, the king of Tidal, the king of Elam, the king of all the other kings, okay? When they went to war, they ended up taking Lot, Abram's nephew, and all of his belongings. And word got back to Abram what had happened. And Abram is leaning on the promise of God. God already told him, if you stay in alignment to my word, if you walk in a perfect way, and you do not fear, and you do what I tell you to do, I will cover you, and nothing can befall you. This was God's promise. God said it. It says here in the Apocrypha, chapter 13. Apocrypha, chapter 13, verse 18. Now therefore walk before me and be perfect and keep my commandments. For I will give this land to you and to your seed for an inheritance from the river Mizraim, Egypt, to the great river Euphrates. And you will come to your fathers in peace and in good age, and the fourth generation will return here in this land and will inherit it forever. That's a promise. When you hear something like that from God, there's nothing that can stop you. Nothing can intimidate you when you hear that kind of word from God. Who's going to intimidate you? You just heard a word from God. You just heard that. And then God speaks to the future, which happens. We went through this. We already went through 2 Kings, verse 26, when it said, and all the people, both small and great, and the captains and the armies, arose and came to Egypt, for they were afraid of the Chaldees. They're afraid of the same people of old that their forefather Abram has been warring with. He had to war with them because they took his brother's son captive. The Chaldees, Chemodalor, and all of them created a federation of all the city-states around one another, like the Moabites did. And they waged war before this with Nimrod. Nimrod is the same man that put Abram in the furnace, wreaked havoc on Abram, was afraid of Abram, frightened of Abram. And God tells Abram in here, but in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. Aren't these Amorites the ones that they were supposed to knock back a while ago, but they didn't do it? And they keep being a thorn in the side of these people. This is what happens when you don't do what God asks you to do. You just create greater problems for the children that come out of you later in generations. You just create more problems for yourself later in life when you don't listen and you don't adhere to the word of God. But I don't want to get off on that. This message for Abram, this message of Abraham is really to say, this passage that I'm reading is speaking to Abraham not having any children. And he goes to God and he says, I'm doing all these things and I don't want to die without having a child. Sarah can't have any kids. We're not fruitful amongst one another, but I'm doing all of your work. And God is saying, God is telling Abraham here in verse 5. And he brought him forth abroad and said, look now toward heaven, and tell the stars if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be. Now that's metaphoric, because in many of the Jewish texts that support the biblical text, they speak to Abram being a master astrologist. This is what makes this text so relevant. It's because why did God say, look into he says, and he brought him forth abroad and said, look now toward heaven, look in the sky, and tell the stars if thou be able to number them. Look at the heaven and tell the stars, tell me those stars, be able to point them out. Obviously, they were visible. He says, and tell the stars if thou be able to number them. He's also leading to the fact that there's a lot of them. There's a lot of bright, visible stars in the sky. Many of them that you probably can't even number. And God says to him, okay, you see all of this, these bright stars that are beyond number. So shall your seed be. He's saying, don't worry. Don't let what it look like make you afraid. Your attention needs to be on doing what I tell you to do. Your attention needs to be on standing in alignment with me. I am the only constant you got in this life. It's me and you. It has been me and you since you've been a little girl or a little boy. Everybody else has just been experiences you needed to have with me and you present. Because without me, none of this is possible. And it says, and he believed in the Lord and he counted it to him for righteousness. He believed in him. Not only did he believe in him, it reinstilled the fact that God doesn't fail. Him seeing the stars that he cannot number in the sky in broad daylight, in the day, reinstilled within Abraham that he will not fail me. Anything is possible. How do I know that this was day? Verse 11. To 12. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. Okay, great. So really it's just verse 11. Because the supporting text tells that I just read that God told him to get 3 heifers, 3 goats, 3 she goats, and 3 a ram of 3 years old, and put them down and get some birds and divide them up and blah, 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 blah. So then he goes on to say, And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. Now, why did God need to? Why did the Bible make mention? Verse 11. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. Who cares if the fowls came down upon the carcasses? We all know if you put flesh upon, if you lay flesh outside long enough, birds are going to come down to eat it. But they're leaving these bits of information for you to be able to imagine. Use your mind. Not just read and be like, oh, yeah, that sounded nice. No, picture it in your mind. When do birds come out? When have you ever seen a bird, a swarm of birds, friend, feeding at night? When? When do you see birds out feeding? You don't see any birds flying at night. The only birds of night are like owls and other types of birds, but you don't see them in swarms feeding like birds do in the day, where you gotta flag them away. These are oxymorons. Verse 5 and verse 11 is an oxymoron. And then it goes on to say, after verse 11, when it went to say that Abram drove the birds away, it goes on to say, and when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. So there it is there. The sun hadn't even gone down. It sounds like, and when the sun was going down, it sounds like when God showed Abram this vision, or when it didn't even say a vision, it says, he brought him forth abroad and said, look now toward heaven and tell the stars. Tell me the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be. This is happening in broad day. This ain't dusk. This is not evening. This is in the broad daylight. You mean to tell me there were as many stars showing in the broad daylight? High day, high noon, that you could see them clearly in the sky, to be able to name them and number them, even try to number them? And then why would he tell a man that doesn't know anything about the stars to name them, or even try to number them, or even have the science of numbering them? Because there is a science to the star system. These different systems of stars some of them have fixed numbers to them, nurseries of stars. They move at certain times. They appear in the sky in certain seasons. Abram was a master astrologist. I know that's going to rub some of y'all real wrong. I'm not trying to. I'm just giving you something to think about. I'm using this Bible to reference pertinent information that nobody is talking about. And it's not heretic. It's not looking to create controversy. It's looking to get you to think and not be afraid of the boogeyman. God is not going to condemn you and punish you for using your mind in the search of God, especially when we're up against as much confusion as we're up against right now. We're up against a lot of confusion. A lot of stuff has been taken out of context. A lot of stuff that is figurative has been made reality, and a lot of reality has been made figurative. And that's just my take on it, because I'm reading this book. I'm not making any of this up. I'm pulling this straight from the book. And he brought him forth abroad and said, look now toward heaven. It didn't say in a vision appeared to Abraham like it normally would. God is specific. This book is very specific in what it says. It didn't say apparition or in a vision or he was dreaming. It's none of this. He's wide awoke. Because if he was dreaming, it would have said that later on. It says here later. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram. He was awoke. Don't be angry with me because I look for truth. I'm not afraid to look for the truth. And then God goes on and he says, and he said unto Abram, know for a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. He's speaking things into existence, things that have not happened. He's coming to Abram with a promise, and the promise is that I will make your seed as vast as the stars in the sky. You yourself looked up into the sky, and there were so many stars in the sky that you could not number them, and you are a master astrologist. You know the names of these stars just like I do, and you weren't able to number them. I'm telling you that your seed is going to be just as multiplied as these stars. But then he says, but then also, he didn't say nothing about you transgressed against me. You did this and that against me. You didn't do this and that for me. He didn't say none of that. He says, let's do an offering. Back up. Even after God told Abraham what he would bless him with, he said, your worries is having a seed. I will bless you with more seeds than you can even think. I'll populate this world with you. All of this is you and yours if you abide by my law. God gives you blessings that nobody can take away. Not even Father Time. That's what God does. God gives you blessings that nobody can take away. Riches that are beyond this worldly system. They will surpass time and space. If this world ended and all of those that are looking to outsmart God, that are replanting the garden and all of this kind of stuff and changing the code of the plants and all of that stuff, all of their wows and all of their expectations and all of their creations that they're doing to overcome anything that God has. God will just create something that doesn't need any of that. That's how miraculous God is. So there is never any fear. So when you are looking to do the righteous thing like Abraham, the promise is not based on fear of, oh, well, maybe these fallen ones or any of these other people will come and overcome God, and then all this work that I'm doing to align with God is in vain. Nobody can come and override God. Nobody. Everything that they try to do will fail. It's vanity. It just makes you feel good that you're doing something to help yourself. But it will not work when it comes to God. They will not get reprimanded for not trying. Let's just say that. Because when you look at this world and you look at the nature and how you wonder, well, why we got GMO and why do we have organic, and then why can't it all just be organic? I mean, if it rots and the shelf life is low on it, well, why can't we just invest money into reproducing more of it instead of all the work we do to recreate it? Why? The beauty, and I don't want to get off on this, but the beauty of the plant life on this planet is that it's so miraculous that it's sustaining. It can sustain itself through anything if you leave it alone. Yet when you get to messing with it, you mess up the code of it. And it will not sustain itself. So this whole planet could eventually look like a desert where there's no trees. It's just dirt. And it'll be real hot because the trees supply the shade and the wind and all that we do only hurts us. So Abram is banking on this. When God took Abram up, he said, I'm going to have to say it again, brought him up abroad, and he said, look now toward the heaven and tell the stars if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be. And it says here, and he believed him. He believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. That tells me that he saw something that he felt was impossible for anyone to do. And it hammered in the fact that this is the truth. This is God. This ain't no shaman. This ain't no sorcerer. This ain't no trickery. This is facts. Who can make the stars shine bright in the day? When you get a revelation like that, I mean, even if it is a fraud, you sure are a good fraud, brother. I mean, ain't nobody out here frauding like you. If you are a snake oil salesman, you got me. I'm gonna have to align with that, because there's nobody doing it like that. He bought in because of what he was able to see. Just like when God blessed David all throughout his generations. Man, that blessing made you want to cry. It made me want to cry reading it. These are the blessings of God. They are timeless, but they are for those that are mature enough to understand the value of them. Yet if all you want is a car and you just want to be famous amongst your brothers and sisters and outdo your brothers and sisters so that they think you're better than them, and you can only have this and they can't have that, and you got that nah, I got it and you ain't got it, that type of thing, that type of blessing would not matter to you. You need more of a now kind of blessing. You need a now. Give me mine now. I want the mansion at the beach and this and that now, and it won't last. These blessings of God are timeless, powerful blessings that are like pillars in both the earth and in the heavenly realm. I will go further with that. Chapter 14, verse I'm going to start off at 17. I'm going to go from 17 to 19. No, 17 to 20. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer and of the kings that were with him at the valley of Shaveh, which is the king's dale. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him and said, blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High God, which have delivered thine enemies into thine hand. And he gave him tithes of all. So, Melchizedek is a mighty figure. I'm going to do a video on Melchizedek and the priesthood. Melchizedek is of the lineage of Jesus. He is of some people say he's Shem. I think I did a video on him when I did Shem and Eber. But Melchizedek, who actually is of the lineage of Cheddar Laomer, but he is of the heavenly priesthood. He is of the God of the gods. So what you're looking at when you hear this whole Cheddar Lazer and title and the king Elam and all of these different kings, you're looking at the different gods of within this realm, within this world, the fallen ones. That's what you're looking at. They all fell down. They came here and they got their own lots. All of them got their own lots. They became kings. And they began using the people as footmen to do their will in the world. And they would partner with one another, make alliances with one another, and wage war against one another for expansion, all this kind of stuff. So this Sodom and Gomorrah issue, I just told you that Abram got involved because they took Abram's nephew Lot hostage. See, before they took Abram's nephew Lot hostage, it wasn't saying Abram's name was mighty in the earth. But these nations knew of Abram because Abram was consulting people on different processions of the planets. Abram was very, very smart. Just like he was very smart with the mathematics, he's very smart with astronomy. Just as Jacob was smart with multiplying head count, he was smart with genetic manipulation. He was a master geneticist. So was Rachel. If we could get the taboo off of these things, because these things are mighty pillars in the house of Israel. Many of you guys think, oh, Israel, it's just they were, God loved Israel and Israel just liked to dance and play instruments and pray to God. But what is prayer? How did Israel become so mighty so fast? Somebody was blessing Israel, these people, with knowledge. And that somebody is God. And the only reason, the only way that they can continue to stay blessed is if they stay in alignment. Not because God is afraid and he's jealous in the sense that he doesn't want any of the other gods to have the attention of the children and this. No, because when you begin to infiltrate with the other gods, they use their tactics to turn you against yourself. And the power of God cannot work in you. It can't. We are at war with people that want your power. That's what this is about. This is about getting your power. Nonetheless, Melchizedek comes and he blesses Abraham. And he says to Abraham, and he blessed him and said, "Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth." This is not just the God of the earth. This is the God of the heaven and the earth. Now, this is the same God that is standing with the head of Sodom and Gomorrah. Let's talk about Sodom and Gomorrah. Baby, Sodom and Gomorrah was wicked. Sodom was so wicked that they loved their wickedness. See, in old and ancient times, you had people that didn't conform to all the same thing. Everybody wasn't righteous. Even nowadays, everybody's not righteous. You got some people that get off on being wicked. They come from generations of people that are wicked. Sodom was so wicked that all of the things that the laws that most nations abide by, like, being kind to one another, respecting one another, being loving, all of that, they didn't do none of that. They got along with one another. But everybody else, they wasn't messing with none of them. You stumble into Sodom and Gomorrah, you stumbled into the Twilight Zone. They would be your friend. Oh, come on in. Come on in. I'm going to cook for you. You wouldn't even get an idea that something is wrong. I'm serious. Like, remember these old Alfred Hitchcock movies, or these old, many of y'all too young to know the Twilight Zone. But the Twilight Zone, for those that remember it, they would have people that were literally, you would think they were insane. You would stumble upon them. They'd be just so nice. And they would welcome you in and be so nice and kind to you. And then when it's time for you to go, you see who they really are. And their viciousness and wickedness, they didn't see any problem with it. It was a way of life for them. That's how Sodom and Gomorrah was. Sodom was the type of place you stumbled in there, they would invite you in and say, oh no, just stay for the night. Yeah, well, you leave in the morning. And they sleep over and get up in the morning and leave. And then they wake up and they got breakfast cooked. And they got you a hot toddy. Get you a hot toddy early in the morning. You've been drinking from morning to noon out there with Billy Bob in the back. And he acting like he's your cousin. Y'all having a good time. And you end up sleeping another night. And eating and sleeping. And then the next night, you say, no, I got to go. And they said, oh, okay, well, go on and go. And they said, well, I need all my clothes that you said you washed for me. No, those are my clothes. These aren't your clothes. These are mine. No, those are mine. You said you were going to wash them for me. No, I never said that. These are mine. What are you talking about? These are mine. And they really believe it. And then you get into an argument. And then they hit you in the head with something and take you to their judge. And you're like, this dude just hit me in my head and took all my stuff. My head is bleeding. And he said, oh, your head is bleeding. And he'll go get a rag and put it on your head. Help you stop the bleeding. And then he said, you got to pay me $1,000 for that. The same guy that took your stuff. The same guy that is the reason why you're in front of the judge. And the judge is sitting there looking at it. And the judge says, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with this. He just put a rag over your head, and if that's his price for doing it, just because you didn't know that was his price, don't mean you don't owe him. That was Sodom and Gomorrah. Everything was corrupted. It was wicked in a way that was thought-provoking, unbelievable. So this is the man that this town is what the war is over. That should tell you something of how the world was at that time. And Melchizedek, the priest of the Most High God, is standing there with the king of Sodom and Gomorrah and Abram, with wine and bread. I just told you in the last Bible study, or was it the Bible study? It might have been my podcast. God creates good and evil. Y'all thinking that God, y'all thinking all the evil that goes on and all the stuff on this planet that God doesn't know anything about? And that God has no power over? God is running this whole thing. And the more I read this book, the more I'm realizing this. God is running this whole thing. People are just playing their position. See, with God, you can't cook the books. You can't stack the odds with God. All of this stuff going on around here, you can stack the odds with. But with God, In the real game, oh, you can't stack the odds, bruh. You cannot. And all of these things are necessary. All of them. Because all of them, through pressure, through pain, through fine tuning, lead you to those that can rise. They push forward, not many, but those that can rise. Because everybody can't do it. Everybody can't do what Abraham did. Cannot. Everybody cannot do what Moses did. Everybody cannot do what Joseph did. Everybody cannot do what Noah and his descendants did on that boat. Everybody cannot do. Did I say David? What David did. And on and on and on. You can't. And you can't manufacture it. You can't fake it. So this is my Bible study today. In my Bible study, I would like to leave you with this. God sees all, and all is connected. God sees everything, and everything has an order, and all is connected. You must know the promise, and the promises are, do not fear, stay in alignment, and be of good courage. Period. And let me use you as a vessel, because it will take all of those things for me to use you. All of them. Yet if you cannot do them, my use for you will be in vain, because you will get to the birthing place and you won't be able to push. And all that I did to get you there, you can't get it done. Yet if you stay in alignment, if you be of good courage, and you do not fear, I can do much with you. Much. Much. I saw a movie on Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and many years ago, I'm probably 10 years ago, but I watch it again ever so often. And it always reminds me, at the end, the guy wrote The Way of the Gods. This is what he wrote. He said, first they write the future. They write a future. They write a story. They detail what it's going to be, what they would like it to be. Then they let it happen. Then a rebirth of one who explains it. Someone will come and explain it, make it lively amongst the people again. And then the execution of judgment. And I see that in this text of chapter 15 with Abram, and God giving him this promise of making his seed as the stars in the heaven. Yet completely after that, he says that he believed him and he counted everything he said as righteous. And then it goes on without any condemnation, without Abram being told by God that he was out of line in any way and he was condemned for any past actions. Nothing. Then God goes and says, your seed will be, he says, surely, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land, and that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Why? Because this is like a big algebra equation. On one end, you got a negative. On the other end, you got a positive. And you need to balance it out. It's like a big, I don't want to say a big video game because I don't want to minimize it to that, but it is kind of. On one end, you got a balance. You got the negatives. On the other, you got the positives. And what you do on one side of the equation, you must do on the other. There is balance and there is structure. It is fairness. It is fairness. And the determining factor is truth. Truth. Because the algebra equation is looking to get to the truth. And the only way you get to the truth is through the balance. That's it. That is it. And this is the recipe that God is saying. If you stay in alignment with me, there are rules to staying in alignment with me. The rules keep you in a state of truth. Don't shift out of it. Because once you shift out of it, you are out of alignment. You are outside of that truth. Stay in alignment. Do not fear and be of good courage. I did the video the other day and I said, sometimes you have to listen to a lie. Many of you probably misunderstood that. When you are looking to stay in alignment, everybody wants to be smart. You know what I mean? Like, you can say something and then somebody will come that's watching you real closely, the sweater thing watching, but they're watching you and they're critiquing everything. Oh, she said this. Oh, she said that. Oh, she said. And then they go and they create this huge dissertation on it. And that's okay. But the bottom line is, sometimes, friend, I'll be the only one that's experienced this. That's cool with me. I have been in situations where I needed a word from God and I didn't have it. I know how to pray. I'm a praying woman. Nobody can pray over my life better than me, friend. Me and God we got a wonderful thing going on. Best thing I have going in my life. Yet there have been times where I did not know what to do. I didn't know which way to go. And I couldn't get a word from God that I was able to distinguish. Yet God sent me vessels that gave me a uplifting word, even if it was a lie. Heck, half the memes y'all looking at on social media, they're not for you. They're just blatant. They're just random things people put out there that you could take positives from and assist you in overcoming whatever you're overcoming. There's nothing wrong with that. That is a blessing. And those are the things what I mean by when I say, even if it's a lie, not a lie like, oh, I'm so weak that I let people lie to me. And anybody knows me knows that I am not that type of woman. Many of you that don't know me probably would think that, but anybody that knows me, I don't care if you're 85 or if you're 8. You know, I am not the type of person that you about to just come and mislead me. I'm a thinker, and I'm not a hide in the shadows kind of person. So, but what I mean by sometimes you do need it doesn't matter what the vessel is that lends you a optimistic word. If it can get you back in alignment, if it can keep you in alignment to the laws of God, it served its purpose, friend. I take it how I can get it. I don't care. I'm not tripping. I'm not over here micromanaging my walk. I'm doing the best I can with what I have, and many of us are. If we stay in alignment and we follow the rules of God, when that equation, when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, because the equations usually start out like this, and you just get down. You show your work on the side. You see all the work, all the experiences on the side. It's a beautiful thing. Yes. There is no fear in that because you know all will be leveled out. All will be leveled out. because you followed the rules. Not by checking off a box because, okay, God told me to do that. God told me to do that. No, because you honored the law. You've learned the law. And you've held the law close to your heart so that no matter where you go, it's with you. It's a way of life. It's not for nobody outside of you. And you don't let nobody come into your life and take you out of that. You keep God first because God is all you got. Sure, you'll probably get that husband that you want. Sure, you'll probably get that job that you want. Sure, you're going to get that car you want. Sure, you're going to get that closet full of clothes you want. You're going to have all the nice bags and the nice shoes and all this and that. But after a while that you get it, will you still want it? Will you value it the same? Will you be able to keep it? Is it going to be a burden to you to keep it? Or are you keeping it because of what other people will say? Or are you keeping it because you really like it and you really love it? Because God is not like that. God is with you when you getting all of these things and acquiring them and expounding upon them and experiencing them. God is really the one that you should focus your attention on. Because with God, all of that is nothing. You'll get all of that if you're in alignment and if that's what you truly desire. And if it's not what you should be doing, in the sense that if it's not where God is taking you and you're experiencing things at higher levels, you'll get fine-tuned out of wanting to have those things. They'll be like, I don't even care about that. I could care less about that. Literally. Friend, I don't want to make it seem like this is about me because I know people probably think, oh, she's bragging. I'm not bragging. I got clothes in that closet that I don't wear nowhere but to these videos. And before that, I used to be like, man, I don't really, where am I going to wear this stuff to? But I'll get on these videos and use them. God will make everything useful, friend. Everything. God can see things way in the distance that you can't see. Yet all you need to do is act. Be like Abram and act. Stay in alignment and act. This is my Bible study for the day. You love more than you'll ever know. I'll never stop telling you. Be good to yourselves and be good to each other. Peace and love.